Welcome to Biology My Passion. I am Soumya Harikrishna. We have been learning the chapter Photosynthesis in Higher Plants. We learned the actual process of photosynthesis normally occur in all green plants, that is light reaction and dark reaction. And we also learned a cycle which happens in temperate plants under certain conditions, and that is called a C2 cycle. Actually, C2 cycle is an unnecessary process in plants. So, how are tropical plants adapted to avoid C2 cycle? That is explained by C4 cycle. Up to this we learned. So, now we are going to learn the last part of this lesson, that is factors affecting photosynthesis. We know photosynthesis to happen, carbon dioxide and water are the raw materials, and sunlight and chlorophyll are the other necessities. So, obviously these are affecting the rate of photosynthesis. Apart from that, some other factors can also affect. So, generally we can classify them into two: environmental factors and genetic factors. What are environmental factors? Environmental factors are nothing but the environmental influences, like first sunlight. We know sunlight is essential for photosynthesis. Then carbon dioxide, another raw material which will definitely affect the rate of photosynthesis. Then temperature, soil, water, nutrient supply, all these are the environmental factors affecting photosynthesis. Apart from this, plant factors also can affect photosynthesis, that is the genetic of the plant. So, usually plants carry out photosynthesis in the kitchen. Which is the kitchen? Leaf. So, the leaf factors are mostly involved in this, like age of the leaf, angle in which leaf is placed on the stem or the node, then leaf orientation, all these are important factors. Now, let us discuss one by one. First, environmental factor. In that, we are using one main law related to this, that is called the law of limiting factors. Law of limiting. You know who proposed this? This was proposed by a scientist called F. Blackman. He proposed it in the year 1905. So, when a process is conditioned as to its rapidity, means the rate of reaction. Rapidity means what? The rate of reaction. If is controlled by more than one factor, because it's not only one factor, different factors affecting, like in the case of photosynthesis. But what will determine the rate of that process? It is limited by the pace or the speed of the slowest factor, means the slowest factor will determine the rate. I will give you two examples here. Imagine your teacher gave you an assignment in the class. You are supposed to present on a topic in the class. Teacher gave the deadline date also. Maybe next Sunday you are supposed to present. You made a group of 5 and you all are working for that. So, one of you is collecting all the information for that. The second person got the information. He collected the relevant pictures for the information, and you both gave to the techno savvy in the group. He made a nice presentation using the latest app and all, and presentation is also ready. Then it was given to the next person. Who is that? The one who is the good orator in your class, the one who can present it so well, right? So, that person is supposed to present in the class. So, everyone if does their work properly, then what happens? The rate will go on, or the complete process will happen nicely. So, the day arrives, the teacher is in the class, teacher is asking you to bring the presentation and start presenting. But what happens? The person who is supposed to bring the presentation forgot to bring the USB. So, they are not able to present on the same day. They are requesting teacher, ma'am, shall we present the next day and all, but teacher told, okay, I cannot give you full mark, your mark will be deducted. Here, everyone did their work properly, but because of one person's lack of or negligence of one person, what happened? The entire performance came down. Or another example I will give you in a running race, especially relay race. You know, there are different people running. Imagine the first lap person ran very fast and he finished on time, and the second person also running very fast and he made a very good lead, but third person in between he stumbled down and he slowed down, and or there was a delay in changing the pattern, that brought down the speed of that team drastically. Then the fourth person, even though he was very good runner, he tried to cover up the lap, but they couldn't reach the first position. They ended up in second position. Actually, they were leading in the first position with a good margin for the first 2 rounds, but because of the person who ran the third place, because of that their rate came down. So even though the fourth person, who is a very good runner, did his maximum, could the team win? No. They were pushed to the second position only because of the delay in the third person. So it's not the person who performed well determining the rate of the reaction, but the person who did not do the work is. Even in the previous case, if you have the presenter has learned so well and the presentation was made so perfectly, but that did not count. The lack of bringing that USB made the result. So the hard work was not paid off, but what was not done is actually determining the rate. So here also several factors may be there. Light is there, sunlight is there, carbon dioxide is, temperature is there, soil is there, water is there. Maybe the one which is least available is determining the rate of the reaction. So now let us see one by one how these factors are affecting. So the smallest factor which is available, or the factor which is less available, that is called the limiting factor. So that limiting factor is actually determining the rate of the reaction. That was the proposal by F.F. Blackman. Now let us see the first factor, environmental factor, that is light. You know, light is a form of energy, and this energy is trapped by plants during photosynthesis. So from sunlight large amount of energy is available, but only 2% is possible for the plants to make use of, or it is good for photosynthesis. So when light is available, plants will do photosynthesis, that is during daytime, right? But at night time, when the light is not there, plants will do only respiration. Daytime, photosynthesis and respiration both take place. There are 2 factors influencing the effect of light. One is the intensity of light and the other one is quality of light. What is meant by intensity of light? How intensely light is falling. That means in the tropical region, of course, intensity is very high. In the temperate region, intensity is less. So light between the range of usually 400 nanometer to 700 nanometer wavelength is visible spectrum is most effective for photosynthesis. This light is called a PAR. PAR stands for photosynthetically active radiation. That is only 2%. Photosynthetically active radiation which is available for photosynthesis, that is falling in the range of 400 to 700 nanometer. That is actually the visible spectrum or the white light. In the in photosynthesis beginning part, I have explained this. So whenever there is an increase in light intensity, the rate of photosynthesis will also increase, but it is only up to a limit. Beyond that, the high light intensity, beyond a level, high light intensity will decrease the photosynthetic rate. Do you know why? Because there are 2 reasons. Maybe this can lead to other factors becoming limiting, because we know when light is increasing, naturally the amount of water available will be less. So other factors become limiting due to high light intensity. And another problem usually plants face is high light intensity can destroy the structure of chlorophyll. Very high intensity can oxidize chlorophyll or destroy its structure. Because of these reasons, at high light intensity, photosynthesis rate will decrease. But initially when intensity increases, photosynthesis also will increase. Now very high light intensity, what happens? The photosynthesis will stop because of the oxidation of this chlorophyll again. This process is called a solarization, stopping of photosynthesis due to high light intensity. Usually we know that the light harvesting complex consists of carotenoids around chlorophyll, right? So these carotenoids are actually acting as antioxidants. They will protect the chlorophyll from getting oxidized. Quality of light, if you see, we know that light of wavelength red and blue, they show high rate of photosynthesis, and the maximum rate of photosynthesis is happening in red light. But usually what happens in the canopy of forest and all, thick forest like a rainforest, you know, the huge trees are on top. So they will be absorbing all the red and blue wavelength. So the plants which are growing below will be getting only the green wavelength of light. So their rate of photosynthesis will be comparatively lesser and they are shade tolerant plants. Another one is the duration. Higher the duration, the rate of photosynthesis also will become high. For example, if a plant is getting exposed to 10 to 12 hours of light per day, the plants can carry out photosynthesis very efficiently. Okay, so to sum up, light is the first factor we are discussing. Light is a form of energy and intensity of light and quality of light are important for the rate of photosynthesis. When light is coming from sun, it has different radiations of. In this, visible spectrum falls between 400 to 700 nanometer. At this wavelength, the photosynthesis is happening, that is called a PAR or photosynthetically active radiation, which is only 2% of the total sunlight. And when light intensity increases, initially the rate of photosynthesis will also increase. But beyond a limit, the photosynthesis rate will decrease. Why? Because other factors may become limiting or chlorophyll will become destroyed. At very high intensity of light, the photosynthesis stops completely, that is called a solarization. Now coming to the quality of light, red and blue wavelength of light, photosynthesis happens maximum, whereas red is the light in which the maximum rate of photosynthesis is happening. The small trees present in the forest floor, they are exposed to only green light because red and blue are mostly absorbed by the tall plants. So their photosynthetic efficiency is also less, or rate of photosynthesis is decreased in the plants which are shade tolerant. And higher exposure to light definitely increases the rate of photosynthesis. So if a plant gets 10 to 12 hours of light, definitely the rate of photosynthesis will also be high. Now let's see the second factor affecting photosynthesis, that is temperature. When temperature increases, the rate of photosynthesis also increases, but only up to a level. Optimally, it is up to 40 degrees Celsius. Usually, there are two stages of photosynthesis. First is light reaction and second is dark reaction. Light reaction is not much influenced by the temperature rate because it is basically dependent on light. Whereas the second phase or the dark reaction is completely influenced by the temperature availability, that is it is happening in the stroma. Do you know why? Because it is enzyme linked reaction. So many enzymes are involved in this process. So you know that enzymes being protein can get denatured at high temperature. Enzymes like Rubisco has got both oxygenation as well as carboxylation reaction catalyzation activity. So if temperature is high, the affinity for carbon dioxide will reduce, and as a result, instead of carboxylation, oxygenation will happen, that can lead to photorespiration or C2 cycle. At the same time, if the temperature goes very down, we know that the enzymes become inactivated. Now we will discuss the third factor which is very important, that is carbon dioxide. You know, carbon dioxide present in the atmosphere is only 0.036% or 360 parts per million. But compared to other gases, for example, oxygen 21% is available in the atmosphere, or nitrogen available in abundant, that is 78%. Usually land plants use stomata for allowing the carbon dioxide inside because gaseous exchange happens through stomata. But due to high light intensity and high temperature, stomata may close in order to prevent water loss. So if stomata is closed, photosynthetic rate will go down, or sometimes it may go up to 0 also. What about hydrophytes? Do they have stomata? No. They absorb carbon dioxide through their epidermis as bicarbonates or carbonates. Now high rate of carbon dioxide can decrease the rate of photosynthesis. Carbon dioxide is a limiting factor during sunny days, because sunny days what happens, the Rubisco may prefer oxygen. As a result, carbon dioxide, if not enough, means it becomes a limiting factor. Now the C3 plants, you know that normally if light intensity is high or a high concentration of oxygen is there, definitely C2 cycle will happen. So to avoid that, C4 plants have a special adaptation. So compared to C4 plants, C3 plants are less efficient, we can say. C4 plants are more efficient in the sense that they can avoid C2 cycle. So they both respond to carbon dioxide concentration in different ways. How do C3 plants respond? Whenever the rate of carbon dioxide is increasing, rate of photosynthesis will also increase. That at least 500 millimole per liter of carbon dioxide should be available. Only then this is possible, provided other factors are not limiting. So high availability of substrate is there, because first stage in photosynthesis is carboxylation. For carboxylation to happen, what is the substrate? Carbon dioxide. So since carbon dioxide is available in plenty, rate of photosynthesis will increase. And also whenever carbon dioxide is in plenty, Rubisco will prefer carbon dioxide or carboxylation. So photorespiration is reduced. Because of these two reasons, C3 plants show high rate of photosynthesis during the 500 millimole per liter of carbon dioxide concentration. Whereas C4 plants also increase the rate of photosynthesis with increase in the rate of carbon dioxide, but at a lower concentration of carbon dioxide itself, that is 360 millimole per liter, that is atmospheric concentration 0.036%, which is already available in the atmosphere. So available carbon dioxide enough for C4 plants to increase the rate of photosynthesis, whereas for C3 plants even higher than that should be needed for carrying out high rate of photosynthesis. Next factor affecting photosynthesis is nothing but soil water, because we know that water is essential not only for photosynthesis but all the life processes. Water is essential. So water can become limiting factor if not available, and thereby affecting the rate of photosynthesis. And whatever amount of water is absorbed by plant, only 1% is utilized for photosynthesis. Rest all will be used for other life activities. Now whenever there is not enough water available, plants will undergo something called a water stress. This water stress can lead to rate decline of photosynthesis. Why? Because whenever there is water stress, plants close their stomata, because stomata closure will reduce the loss of water through transpiration. For that, abscisic acid is helping. So abscisic acid is known as stress hormone. So carbon dioxide supply will gradually decrease, because stomata is closed. How can carbon dioxide enter? So as a result, rate of photosynthesis will also decrease. Another one is reduce the water potential in leaf. That is, less water means less water potential. So transport also will get affected. Next is nutrient supply. Nutrient supply is actually important. Different nutrients are required by different plant parts for efficient photosynthesis. For example, nitrogen is a major element. Nitrogen is a main constituent of all enzymes and chlorophyll in plants. So without nitrogen, plants cannot do proper photosynthesis. The same way, magnesium is a part of chlorophyll. In the first part, we learned about the structure of chlorophyll. There I explained about the magnesium. Iron is also essential for the formation of chlorophyll. Then phosphorus is a part of ATP, adenosine triphosphate. Manganese, copper and chlorine are the elements needed for photolysis of water. Potassium and sulfur are directly involved in enzyme synthesis. We know the second half, or the dark reaction, is an enzyme dependent reaction. Now coming to the genetic factors or the leaf factors, first is age of the leaf. Whenever a leaf is aging, we know that it will become yellow. What is meant by yellowing of leaf? It is due to the lack of chlorophyll, or the plant is gradually losing chlorophyll. So this aging process is called a senescence. Usually during senescence, what happens is enzymes become inactive. As a result, naturally rate of photosynthesis will also decline. The second genetic factor is angle, and third is orientation. They are more or less similar. That is, leaves are vertically placed, or at an angle it is placed from the stem in highly exposed plants. Whereas if it is a shade plant, they are living under the canopy or in shade, their leaves will be placed horizontally in order to get maximum sunlight. So these are all the points that we have to learn about photosynthesis. Let us wind up by telling the significance of photosynthesis. You know, it's a vital biological phenomena of life on earth. It is only process that links physical and biological world. Photosynthesis helps conversion of solar energy into carbohydrate, and this organic matter makes bulk of the dry matter of any organism. That means any organism is made up of this carbohydrate only, right? Our body is also a result of the plant photosynthesis. Then plant biomass, or the dry matter derived through photosynthesis, supports humans because we consume them. Oxygen present in the atmosphere is an outcome of photosynthesis. We know during photolysis of water, oxygen is released out, which will balance the oxygen amount in the nature. Fossil fuels such as coal, petroleum, natural gas were formed by photosynthetic organisms like plants which live millions of years ago. And agricultural productivity is also totally dependent on photosynthesis. So with this, we have come to the end of a very important chapter in class 11, that is photosynthesis. If you have any further doubt regarding this chapter, you can post in the comment box. If you like my lessons, please like, share and subscribe to my channel Biology My Passion. Thank you for watching.